Go there, Juron. Mr. Joe Field. That lady you're talking to, tell she excuse you, please. Juron. This good here? You know how long I going to ask you if this good here? Yours good? Right, that good. I put it.
right, you guys are hearing me? All right. Am I coming across loudly and clearly? Okay, that's great. Okay. All right, you'll give me the cue when you guys are ready. Let me make sure I am ready. Good afternoon, Tobago. Good afternoon to our viewing public on the various platforms on which you are tuned in to us today. Good morning, good afternoon to the media. Let me take this opportunity to welcome you to yet another of the IDA's presser. And it's a presser for today, the 17th of December, 2024. In fact, we are getting closer to the Christmas celebrations. Today we are coming to you from the head office of the IDA at Wilson Road in Scarborough, Tobago. I am Kate Trotman, and today I am joined by the political leader of the IDA, Dr. Denise Soyafat Angus. Now, even though there are a few topics we'd want to discuss with you, before we get started, I want to take the opportunity to extend on behalf of the IDA, myself, and I would want to say the Tobago public, condolences on the loss of Mrs. Morris Julian. It is indeed a tragic situation, a truly heartbreaking situation, even for people who did not personally know her. I think it touched all of us very deeply. And we just want to pray God's comfort and peace to her family, her friends, those whose lives she has touched over her years. There's no understanding behind it, but we pray that you do find comfort even in this time of profound loss. I think one lesson that resonates with everyone as you hear people recount her service is that commitment and passion she had to serving others, be they her personal family, her professional colleagues, or the constituents that she represented. What we can take from her life is that servant leadership really is driven from a heart of love. So once again, on behalf of myself and the IDA, we extend our deepest condolences to the Julian family. You know, on somber occasions like these, it is truly heartrending that we have to continue to talk about issues that continue to weigh heavy on the hearts of individuals in our country. Today is no exception. So while there's a profound loss that we are mourning as a nation, we still look within our Tobago communities and view the myriad of issues that we are faced with and the profound sense that in facing these issues, there seems to be a significant disconnect between those who are our leaders and those of us who are on the ground. I say that as I look and pay attention to an initiative that is meant to be one of great innovation and potential, but one that still leaves us questioning, have we truly thought through the entire process? As Tobago stands at this pivotal moment in its development, one that demands thoughtful planning, inclusive dialogue, and the acknowledgement and respect for our traditions that defines our island and our people, we are faced with a new opportunity. An opportunity to embrace innovation, but an opportunity that also requires us safeguarding the culture and communities, that have sustained us for generations and that have defined us as a people of great authenticity. This opportunity before us is the proposed Tobago Rhythm and Soul Festival. Indeed, a bold initiative, one that is designed to showcase international talent, including the headline performance by Jamaican artist Buju Banton, and one that is meant to position Tobago as a global cultural hub. And while we at the Innovative Democratic Alliance recognize the potential of such an event to put Tobago on the world stage, we must also acknowledge the significant risk it may pose to traditions, cultural events, and the livelihood of our people if not executed strategically with great foresight. As we look at this particular event, this particular proposed event, we must carefully examine the pros and cons of this initiative. The benefits that can come involves international exposure of Tobago, since in headlining an artist like Buju Banton and other international acts, it can provide unparalleled opportunity to draw global attention to Tobago. It could elevate our tourism profile and attract visitors who otherwise would not have come to our shores. It could boost our tourism industry. It could provide an opportunity for cultural exchange and networking, since hosting artists of this international acclaim could attract global audiences with a chance for cultural exchange, building connections and relationships for further global networking. But one cannot ignore the conflicts that may lie in the background. This particular event is carded for the Easter period. And we all know that Easter in Tobago is a time when the island normally comes alive. It comes alive not just with visitors to the island, but it comes alive with the vibrancy of our local community events. I speak of the Buku Goat and Crab races, the Mount Pleasant Sports Day, and other Easter traditions that I want us to see as more than just activities. They are not just events that are held. These are the lifeblood of our communities, our villages. For generations, these events have brought us together in celebrating Tobago's cultural identity while empowering these local communities. They attract visitors, support local vendors and artisans, and provide vital income for families across the islands. It is also an opportunity for these local communities to generate much-needed income and resources that will be used to fund vital community initiatives and address community emergencies throughout the year. In fact, it is these initiatives that power the economic abilities and the economic drive of communities to endure annually. By not giving due consideration to these events and hosting an international event such as the Rhythm and Soul Festival at a time when Tobago is already brimming over with activities asks one to question themselves. When we look at the Tobago calendar of events, we already see periods of peak when Tobago is literally awash with visitors to experience the authenticity of Tobago. And yet we still have periods of slow business. Why it is, we ask ourselves, are we positioning such a potentially beneficial activity at a season that is already overcrowded? Have we considered that such an activity can be seen as competition? Because you are now asking folks to make a choice between what some may consider a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to experience an international artiste of the acclaim of Buju Banton against local, traditional, grassroots community events that have brought us together as family, as a close-knit community, to share the authenticity and the uniqueness of what makes Tobago, Tobago. And it's an unfair pairing in a time when some folks are challenged by the amount of financial resources to go about. They may need to make the choice, which one do I attend and which one do I leave? Buju Banton may not happen after 2025 again, but there's a possibility that the Buku Goat race may continue. But you wonder, will it continue? If it is, we continue to pair international activities of that nature against community-driven initiatives. And community-driven initiatives that have defined us and that contribute to us being who we are, that uniqueness of Tobago, that currently our tourism product is showcasing to the world. Because our people are the ones that make Tobago unique. And it is that cultural heritage, that uniqueness of us as a people, our heritage, that is a critical and one of the pillars that the tourism industry is showcasing on our world stage. So we ask ourselves, have due consideration been given to this proposal? I want you to understand that we are not criticizing a festival of this nature occurring. We believe that events like these can contribute to lifting Tobago's profile from a tourism perspective. What we are concerned about is the timing of such. And to note that in its timing, you will be affecting established, community-driven, and I want to stress that, community-driven activities. We are constantly asking our people to step up to the plate, be entrepreneurs. We are constantly asking them to showcase Tobago, the real Tobago. But yet, we are putting challenges in their way from an execution perspective. We need to ask ourselves, have these communities been consulted in the process of putting forward such an event? If you understand the idea and what it champions at its core, it is community involvement. It is people dialogue. It is always touching base with those we are purporting to support and to serve. So have the communities of Mount Pleasant, have the communities of Kambi and Buku been consulted, since they are ones that have established community initiatives during the Easter process? Have we sought a way to ensure that there is synergy between an international event and these local events? That's a question I ask the organizers. Have we also considered, why is it at a time like this, when we are saying, or when our administration is saying, we have limited funds, why is it a state agency, the Tobago Festivals Commission, why are they leading this particular event? The Jazz Festival last year did not come about because the administration indicated they do not want to be the ones at the helm of such, and have called on the private sector to step up their game. Why is it that this particular event, even if there's participation by the state, is not being led with private sector, significant private sector input? It's a question we need to ask. And as we ask that question, we are saying the state has committed itself to paying these artists. And I would dare say, I am sure that an artist of Buju Banton's acclaim is not necessarily a cheap artist. But at the same time, are we going to be ensured that investing the kinds of monies that are likely to be invested at a time when Tobago would already be filled with visitors to the island, because our Easter period does draw people to the island? It is a busy time. Are we going to be getting our money's worth? How much more people can Tobago hold during the Easter period that is already brimming with activity? Question to ask, a question for serious consideration, especially when we have times where throughout our calendar of events, it is slow for a prolonged period of time. We need a well-curated calendar of events, and one that ensures that there is a flow of visitors to our island to experience Tobago in all its wonders. Community engagement is not just cheap talk. Community engagement ensures buy-in. It ensures support. It ensures that our communities, our people, put their best foot forward, because in doing so, they can see how they benefit. Therefore, a call from the IDA is for the organizers of this event to make sure they have meaningful engagement with the relevant stakeholders and the relevant communities. It is not too late. And we need to ensure that in the advance and in the desire to achieve global recognition, we leave no one behind, and we do not destroy what is uniquely ours. Let me also indicate that this particular festival, how is it likely after 2025 to be run? It is said it is not a replacement for the Tobago Jazz Festival, but you are operating it within the space close to when a jazz festival may have occurred, even though the jazz festival never competed directly with the community events. Then why Why I ask a question is an organization like the Festival Commission that is commissioned to ensure that Tobago's festivals and the national activities, national festivals, national events are properly curated and executed. Why is it taking up the challenge of executing a well-intentioned effort without giving full consideration to the range of impacts it is likely to have, both positive and negative? As I said before, the IDA is not against international festivals of this nature, because it can go some ways in increasing our profile. But we are asking that our cultural norms, our established cultural festivals, which we are entrusted to develop and further promote as indicating to our own prosperity or our own uniqueness as a people, that those are not sacrificed at the altar of becoming internationally known. At this time, Tobago needs to ensure that all due consideration is given to every single activity that we put before the people of Tobago and its execution to the benefit of our people. We need to ensure that the pathway we choose involves all relevant local stakeholders. Therefore, we must involve community leaders. We must involve our business and private sector. We must involve even the grassroots on the ground. We need to ensure that we look at our offerings from a very strategic perspective, understand the timing, curate a well-developed calendar of events with dynamic, engaging, and people-driven activities. We need to ensure that we encourage private sector leadership in the organizing of large-scale events of this nature. And we need to ensure that as we develop, we invest, yes, but we ensure that we get maximum returns for investments. Not just in terms of dollars and cents alone, yes, definitely dollars and cents, but also in its potential for longevity, for sustainability, and continued growth of our people. Therefore, I want to reiterate the call the IDA is making, a call for meaningful consultation, and to the organizers of this particular event, our Rhythm and Soul Festival, we say it is not too late for consultation, and therefore we are looking forward to such. Tobago, as I said, its strength lies in its people, its culture, its tradition, which are a significant tourism platform. And if we are to approach the development of our tourism industry, we must exercise foresight, inclusivity, and respect for the communities that have made the island who we are, the communities that have truly made Tobago, Tobago. So together, I want us to see ourselves going forward as partners in developing our tourism sector and developing our communities with significant economic potential. I thank you, and I now open the floor for any questions you may have.
In the absence of any possible consultation with stakeholders, has the IDA as a party made any overtures to the Festival Commission regarding your particular concerns?
At least we are airing it at this moment. I believe we are open to engagement, and I believe that the Festivals Commission, if they made an oversight with that, they can now do so. As I said, it is not late. And if they were to close the door to that sort of engagement at this time, it leaves a serious question in our minds with regard to what the administration is all about in its focus, and as well, if it really has Tobago at its heart. In fact, we have been championing that it doesn't matter what the initiatives are. You don't have to wait for specific initiatives like this, that as a norm, folks, our Tobago stakeholders, must always be consulted, because at the end of the day, we are saying we are doing these things for the people, but at the end of the day, if it is we are not dialoguing with those very people we are saying we are serving, we need to check whether or not our intentions are truly as noble as we see. So we are open to dialogue, and we have made our first overture this way. And like I said today, it is not too late for the dialogue to happen. Any other questions? Okay. Pardon me? Oh, I am being reminded quite clearly in situations like these, where it is the execution of a project may impact negatively on community initiatives. Do we need to consider whether the state needs to reimburse communities for the demise it is bringing to their particular community development activities? Because, like I said, we are encouraging communities to go out there, empower themselves, do what is necessary to drive economic development within their communities. Yet, on the other hand, we are what they call cannibalizing or eating or undermining the very nature of those particular initiatives. Last year, the Buku goat and crab race was a significant, for most people, success. People championed the community for its initiative and for being around handling that for so long and doing it rather successfully. And here we are putting them in jeopardy with how we execute a particular event that could have benefits otherwise. So I want to thank you very much, and I want to now call to the platform the political leader of the IDA, who will address certain other significant issues. Dr. Ambers.
Pleasant good afternoon to everyone, our listening and viewing audience, and a special thanks to you, the members of the media, for being here with us today. Season's greetings to everyone. I want to thank Ms. Kay Trotman for that comprehensive delivery and cry out on behalf of communities that they continue, that this administration need to stop with their efforts to disenfranchise our communities, and her call that they need to consider paying Buku and Mount Pleasant some type of larger subvention for possible loss of monies taken at the gate. Do you know, there's a narrative being shaped out there by this administration that they can't do much and they don't have money to do anything because central government pressuring them. This administration, this THA, has gotten the most money ever in the history of the Assembly. And therefore you ask, what are they doing with it? So I want to tell you about a couple of things that are happening in the health sector that is really about poor decision-making, mismanagement, leading to wastage of our hard-earned taxpayers' money in that sector. For me, I stand here with a heavy heart because as someone who served in the health sector, it is shocking for me to hear the realities of what is going on there today. And perhaps even more painful for me to have to share it with you all. The mismanagement has reached levels that not only squander public funds, but actively harming the people, the very people that the system is there to serve. And it is time that we as the people begin demanding answers of this Tobago House of Assembly. So let's begin with the inhumane conditions of our health facilities. Patients, nurses, and healthcare workers on the whole, sweating themselves out on hot days because they're consistently told no money to fix the air conditioning or buy fans for the departments. Medicines that should be freely available to patients, like Panadol and other drugs for chronic diseases, for their heart, etc., are out of stock. And what do families have to do? They have to go and find their own resources, find their own money to go to pharmacies and pay for their drugs. What happens there? If they could only pay for a certain amount, instead of taking it once a day or twice a day like the doctor says, they end up skipping a day because they simply cannot afford to get those drugs on a monthly basis, and they're hoping that by then the hospital sector will get back the drugs so that they could get it free. And that's not happening. And so you're talking about negligence that has turned the healthcare system into a cruel lottery. And so while our leaders may run off to Roxborough or go abroad to seek their care, patients are left in Scarborough to suffer long waiting lists for diagnostic machines, and at the pharmacy, like you hear, all you're hearing is nil, 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 nil. No drugs for you. Go and spend your money. And so while patients suffer and the hospital staff are there without adequate equipment and in a poor working environment, this administration has endorsed the Tobago Regional Health Authority to involve themselves in lavish purchases instead of focusing on functional priorities. So instead of addressing the pressing issues of patient care, this Tobago House of Assembly has inexplicably prioritized a $20 million purchase of 5 villas with swimming pools. Now tell me, is that the business of the TRHA? But they're going to tell you, they're shaping the narrative that they have to put up an oncology unit and HIV, because I understand they're being evicted from the hospital, up at the hospital there, by their own colleagues in tourism. That's what we hear. But if you have to put up an oncology unit and an HIV center and whatever else is required for the hospital, are you going to purchase or enter into purchasing villas? And then you have to pay more money to retrofit those villas into hospital standards for care for staff. As someone who was part of the commissioning of the new hospital at Signal Hill, I know that this hospital sits on 27 acres of land. And there are many spaces on the hospital site that could be utilized for putting up a building of the oncology unit, HIV center, whatever. The space was allocated there, the space is still there, and that area could have been utilized quite effectively to ensure you're building a purpose-fit center. And the way you do that is that you talk to the end users, ensure the end users provide their specs, how they operate, their procedural plan, all of that, and then you build the center. Purchasing villas to retrofit will cost you perhaps just as the amount of money to retrofit as it is to purchase. So you're talking now an investment of 30 to 40 million to try and create something for oncology and HIV. I don't understand. That doesn't make sense. And if you're talking about scarce resources, why is that the option you're going into? Did central government pressure you into that deal that is going to end you in no resources to take care of other priorities? I don't think so. And that is why we continue to talk about the millions that are being wasted. Yeah? And the people are being underserved and suffering. No logic in that one. But that's not all. We also have to deal with the ambulance service scandal. The one that hush-hush, shoo-shooing all through, but we're not dealing with it. And so, this is where the idea continues to advocate for some sort of oversight body so that these administration after administration just can't do what they want with the people money. We had enough of ring bang, we had enough of zip line, and now we come into this. No, this is life and death for monies, right? You can't be telling the people they have no drugs, you have no equipment to do the diagnostics, you have no nothing, and yet you're bad spending the money, right? So information coming to us, the famous mailbox, information coming to us suggests that over $4 million have been spent on new ambulances. 3 arrived in Tobago, and when you look at it, it looked like they were used. It looked like there were delivery vans that were brought from a faraway place to Trinidad and then retrofitted to be ambulances. But even with all of that simmy-dimmy, it came to Tobago and failed the test for quality standards of care for providing safety to patients and even the workers. So the idea on behalf of the people of Tobago want to know who approved that disastrous procurement. Were the end users really involved in providing the specifications and all of that before, those purchases were made? Because proper procurement procedure would ensure that you involve the end users in a conversation. Was there really a tendering process for this? Or was there just a specific provider chosen? Inquiring minds want to know. But more so, now that the vehicles have come and you realize they're not fit for purpose, they now have to go back to Trinidad to be retrofitted. Who paying for that? Who paying for that? Because you already spent money for new ambulances. But you got this thing, and you have to send it back to Trinidad for further retrofitting. Who is standing the cost for that? The taxpayers? So I tell you, this one, they should call the 6 for 9 fiasco. So we ask the question, did the government pressure you to do that so you could waste funds and then tell the people you have no money? So there's more. We can't leave out the incinerator fiasco. There's plenty going on in health, you know. It's just not healthcare. You know, I keep saying it really hurts my heart because I'm a medical doctor. I know what it is to work without adequate equipment. I know what it is to work without, you're giving your patients drugs and they come back and telling you they didn't take it. And you're expecting to follow up with them, expecting that they will be improved by the time they come back. And they have no resources to get what they have to get. You go to the pharmacy and the list that they're giving you that's supposed to be the formulary list of free drugs to patients, all you're seeing is nil, 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 nil. Can you understand how frustrating that must be for our healthcare workers? And it's unfortunate. Sometimes they take out the frustration on the patients without even realizing it because they don't have the tools within which to operate. And then without the tools, they go, and some places, hot, 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 hot. No money to fix anything. Over a decade now, the waste management issue has plagued our health sector. And our information is, and I applaud them for that, for sending technical staff abroad to train and to actually guide the making of a new incinerator that is custom built for Tobago. I support that. But then, over time, they've had body parts building up. We've seen the pictures, to ceilings, more and more rooms being taken, other places being taken, because there's no way to get rid of the human waste from surgeries and other activities in the hospital sector, needles and all of that. And so what you have is that in order to implement or bring in this incinerator, they have to remove some of those things. Well, the challenge is where you're moving to go. So the TRHA went forward with procuring, because it's their responsibility, they went forward with procuring a service provider to ensure that they can clean up all of the backlog of the human waste that we're dealing with and to be able to prepare a space for the new incinerator. Well, they have gone about their jobs, procurement, contract signed, and this new service provider mobilizes and comes in to start the work. In coming in to start the work, they are blocked by another provider who says, I was hired by the health division. You understand how money wasting? Okay? So TRH are doing their work, health jump in and bring somebody else. We don't know by what procurement process, but we understand the cost is $250,000 a week or a month. And the incinerator that health has hired is not large enough to really get on top of moving all the waste that needs to be done and keep up with the new waste that is being produced every day. Apparently, in the decision, TRHA was told to stand down, so they sent their provider on their merry way. And now have $1 million lawsuit, or perhaps more than $1 million lawsuit on their hands because they have prematurely ended the contract. Now tell me, isn't that wastage of money? Did the central government pressure you to do that? So you waste that money and have no more money in your coffers? It sounds like you have too much money and therefore that is why you could waste the money. Because anybody who don't have money will not be making these foolish decisions costing the health sector more. But that is not all. So apart from that, they're now in a quandary because they've been evicted by the Division of Tourism, who says the hospital is now under tourism. Well, it's always been, but that site up there, and God knows what they want to use it for, but they want it overnight. Okay? So what you have now is a $10 million incinerator that can do the job, sitting somewhere in this country, right? The warranty, you have to ask yourself if it's still under warranty or if the warranty ran out, because it's just been sitting there. I hope that they're protecting it properly, so it's not, destroyed by the time they're ready for it. Who knows? Maybe a year from now they'll be ready to put it in. But anyway, they're now looking for space to put it. And the bright idea of where to put it is at the Cove Industrial Estate. Now, I don't know if you're putting an incinerator at the Cove Industrial Estate, whether one, it's going to sit well with the residents, because that's a type of, you have some tourism happening on that side there too. Number two, does it sit well with the companies that are in Cove, that are doing manufacturing of not just, non-perishables, but some of them do food. So is it going to be appropriate to be there? Cove doesn't sit high, so when you're looking at the channel of smoke coming out, where is it going to go? Additionally, is the EMA going to approve that, or are you going to bypass the EMA like you've normally been doing? Those are questions we want to know. Again, did central government pressure you to make these wasteful decisions where you have poor planning, poor decision making, and again, wastage of funds, so that we don't have money? We sing in the money song, no money. Yeah? And so the people of Tobago are really dealing with sheer incompetence of a disrespectful and insensitive administration that continues to drain Tobago's resources while leaving communities with nothing and trying to fool the man on the street with excuses such as central government pressuring me, we ain't get enough money, and that is why we can't do nothing. I tell you, you're all only fooling yourselves at this point, eh? No one else. The people are beginning to see the budget hypocrisy and requesting answers for the Forex mystery. Because this administration cries no money, yet again, it has received the highest budget of any administration in the THA. Right? We continue to sing that song, like I say, no money, and the central government pressuring me. You cancel the contract, you have $1 million lawsuit on your hand, right? You have the 6 for 9 ambulance scandal, and also the purchase of luxury villas. You can't say you have no money if you're doing all of that. Yeah? So stop fooling the people. And so when we talk about those luxury villas, it brings up a forex mystery. Where is the Tobago House of Assembly obtaining the foreign exchange to fund these high-value villa resorts? Because I tell you, they're not being paid only in TT dollars. They have to find US dollars to pay for some of it. Where they're getting the money. Business people finding it hard to get forex to fill the businesses for Christmas. But where is the TRHA getting the forex to pay for this venture? And some people will say, well, why are you calling up the THA name? Isn't it the TRHA who spend the money to get the villas? Well, let me tell you. It's called accountability and governance and transparency. If the TRHA is purchasing a $20 million property, it is supposed to send an executive note to the executive council, and they deliberate on it and decide whether that is the way to go, whether that is the vision of the administration and it is the way to go, or tell the TRHA to stand down. Okay? So if you are blaming the TRHA in this and say they went off, then it means that the THA is still not doing their job because they're supposed to be oversighting this, and you should have had collective agreement at the Executive Council for that decision. And so all the people of Tobago who are concerned that we didn't get the 6.8% in the bill, let us be real. The amount of money this administration has gotten, where is it being spent? It is being spent on activities and projects that this administration, in its small body, decides to spend on. They're not included. The people of Tobago, as we understand from the Buju Banton issue, they have not been speaking to communities. They're not speaking to anyone. They're just making decisions. We're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing the other. You know, just like how we have a halfway highway to nowhere. That's another story. We're coming with that. Right? So, for those persons who feel that they have lost the 6.8%, I'm saying to you, you lost nothing, because this administration would have taken that money and done with it however they want, and you don't see it trickle down to the man on the street. They might have hired a few more URP workers, which is to keep you down. They're not expanding your skills. They're not giving you more to do, okay? You will not have seen a penny of that. And until we have proper oversight mechanisms for these runaway administrations, and I say runaway administrations because we go back, Ring Bang, Zipline, and now this. They are all runaway administrations. And when you continue to have runaway administrations, you have to tell yourself this system is broken. And therefore, with a broken system, you cannot afford to give more money to any administration with a broken system. We have to fix the system first. We have to create levels of oversight and accountability so that any monies that are given to Tobago can be assured that it forms a true part of our development that can be felt across communities and in the pockets of the people of Tobago, and just not the pockets of those who sit at the top. And this is why the IDA has always been advocating for a redesign of the Tobago House of Assembly, and even the government, because it's happening in the government down there too. But we don't have to pattern ourselves against that. We can take a decision here and do things the right way, okay? So it's not just about lawmaking power, but for an oversight framework necessary for ensuring transparency and accountability of how your hard-earned taxpayers' money is being spent and to have communities be directly responsible for spending of their funds and to have a say in the policies and formulation of the laws on this land and in this country. And so in the IDA, we believe that where the health sector is concerned, that every Tobagonian deserves a properly functioning set of healthcare facilities, free and accessible medications, safe and reliable ambulance services, transparent and accountable leadership that would ensure that our monies are not being wasted on poor decisions, but that everybody benefits. And so this administration's failures are not just merely oversights. They are decisions made without foresight or care for the people. And so today, until we have proper oversight, an oversight arm of governance in Tobago, the IDA is calling on the Joint Select Committee of Parliament to investigate the wanton wastage of funds by this current THA administration regarding poor decisions taken in the health sector, leaving patients to suffer and healthcare workers abandoned. This is not just about poor decision making, it is about squandering the hard-earned taxpayers' dollars of every Tobagonian. It is about prioritizing villas and vanity projects over basic human needs. And so we will continue to keep you informed and fighting for real change. Our health, our money, and our dignity are not bargaining chips for incompetence. Thank you. Any questions?
What is the idea in the interim, barring your call for GSC to get involved in the process? What is the idea in the interim to address those concerns? Have you planned to meet with the health secretary? Are you planning to move forward?
Well, we're going to start meeting with the people in health first, yeah? Because we have to truly understand their issues, yeah, even further. And if the health secretary will take a visit from us, of course, we don't mind visiting her if we can get through on the phone to make the appointment.
On a separate issue, I believe is the IDA contemplating contesting the general election?
Yes, we made the announcement a couple weeks ago, and last week we stated that we are actually open for screening for candidates for both the general election and also the Tobago House of Assembly election at this time. So please send in your applications. We are open to working with you. Yeah? The villas are very close to the hospital. I understand. Yeah? So. Okay, so thank you all for coming.